It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Adam Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome back to another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Adam Saunders. Alan, how are we doing?
You know, I was just saying, it's kind of a dreary afternoon. I was feeling like a little low energy. I was like looking for another cup of coffee or something, and then I forgot. Like, I don't need it. Just play the intro. Just play the intro.
Yeah. You know what I want?
Energy's right there.
Can we get a live rendition of this performed, just like Living Color with Cult of Personality this past weekend, to happen? Like Brandon Rosside doing the voiceover in person with the band playing as well, and just get a Steelers Afternoon Drive intro done in person. WrestleMania got me thinking about it.
I'm in. I don't think that's performed on real instruments, is it? I don't know. I assume it's not. Could be. I don't
know. But anyways,
we need a real band to come forward and be willing to play the Steelers Afternoon Drive theme song for us.
Yeah. Once again, if Living Color wants to do that, would be awesome as well. Anyways, we'll stop there because there weren't many highlights, at least in my opinion, to talk about from WrestleMania weekend anyway, so we don't have to talk at all about it. But Alan, what I do want to talk about, dropping today, Adam Schefter, some inside scoop in terms of things that he's hearing as we are now at the week of the NFL draft, which seems just crazy to say that we are just days away from this thing, but a lot of nuggets in there in regards to the Steelers specifically, or somehow intertwined with the Steelers specifically. We could start in a lot of different directions, but I think we got to start with quarterback stuff just because, well, that's what we kind of do here, whether people want or want to not discuss it. Shedeur Sanders, as it relates to him, kind of said, like, doesn't see him at 2, doesn't see him at 3, doesn't see him at 9, doesn't see him at Raiders, a little bit of a possibility at 6. Doesn't think it's going to happen, though. Doesn't see the Saints at 9 either. Could fall out of the top 10. As a matter of fact, even seemed like he kind of predicted that would be the case. So then, obviously, that kind of is what we've talked about before. Is there a team that's not currently picking from 10 to 20 that would move up for a Shedeur Sanders? Or is it possible, man, the Steelers can just sit at 21 and have him fall in their lap?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's starting to become more realistic that Shedeur Sanders could be available to the Steelers at 21. I'm still somewhat skeptical. I'm not sure that there's a team in the draft order that is going to take him in the draft order ahead of the Steelers if it's not the Saints. And there's another one we can talk about too, but I think the chances of somebody trading up are fairly good, and I don't think the Steelers will. I think they will sit at 21 and wait and see.
And that's what I keep talking about. Like, everybody keeps saying there's not another team right there. There's not another team there. And it's like, well, yeah, if other teams, if you said, hey, trades are off, they can't be done for the first round or something like that, which, by the way, no, right now everybody has their first round pick, which is crazy. I think that speaks also to just like how they feel about the class in general, with the teams valuing their picks and stuff like that, not wanting to trade up, not really seeing the value in doing that. So that tells you right there too, if there's not been that team so far to felt the need to do so, are they all of a sudden going to feel motivated to do so? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I, like you though, feel like even if he is there past the Saints at 9, it would be somebody else to take them. Alan, a team that I mentioned when we were doing a mock draft that kept stopping me from getting him at 21 was the Seattle Seahawks at 18. I know they signed Sam Darnold to that 3-year contract, but if you look at the structure of it, really a 1-year deal and they can get out of it. Would you view them as a team that could potentially stop the Shedeur Sanders slide before we get to 21?
I think they are. Reports that they're trying to trade Sam Howell specifically seems like that's a team that looks like it's trying to add a quarterback in this draft class. I mean, they do have Drew Lock to go with Sam Darnold, but I mean, it's not like Sam Howell is like, oh, this guy's way too good to be a number 3 quarterback. Like, that would be fine to go into the year with those 3. The fact that they're sort of aggressively shopping Sam Howell tells me they want to draft a quarterback somewhere at some point. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be in the first round, but I think that seems like a plausible fit. Man, what an interesting scenario that would be. The other interesting part of this is 18 the place teams looking to get ahead of the Steelers will target to trade up to. Maybe a team like the Rams, who's in the back half of the first round, would want to trade up, or maybe it's one of these teams that doesn't want to take him in the top 10, can come back around, whether it's the Jets, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders, someone like that coming back up in from the second to the middle of the first. I think a couple of those teams have an extra day 2 pick they can make such a move with. Not far-fetched at all either.
It's John Schneider loves moving around the draft board too. Like he's one of the in the league in terms of doing that. So I think that's certainly possible that he would be looking to move down. The thing you mentioned the Rams within there though, I started to think like, there was that whole conversation about like Belichick when he traded from 14 to 17 with the Steelers, that he was willing to take less to allow the Steelers to jump up in front of the Jets for Broderick Jones. I wonder though, because we're talking about the Seahawks and the Rams. I wonder if they would be like, hey, Steelers, instead, why don't you come up and you don't have to give us that much to make sure that the Rams aren't coming up. But anyway,
see the thing, I just, even though that's only 3 picks, like they certainly could do it. The Steelers have one of the smallest collections of draft capital in the league.
Yeah.
While quarterback is their big need, it's certainly not their only need. I can't see the Steelers trading up under almost any circumstances in the first round. It's really hard for me to see.
Yeah, would the Seahawks value a 2026 3 enough to do, like not even getting another pick in 2025 to do it? And then
probably not.
Like
someone would offer more than that. I gotta think. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like you mentioned,
like
other
the Rams
teams,
are going to give them. I don't know what the Rams have, 60 whatever, 66 or whatever they have. Like, then I don't see how the Steelers can compete with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But I don't know. That's anything else specifically on the Shedeur Sanders potential slide part of that.
The Rams don't have a second round pick. Well, that ain't gonna be them then. Oh, they have 90 and 101. I guess they could use one of those to come up.
It's just, I mean, they have a first round pick, but yeah, of course they don't have it. There's no way they had a first and a second round pick with Les Snead. We know how he is.
They have 4 sixths though.
My God. Okay.
No, I think that's it. I mean, look, I think if Shedeur Sanders gets to 21, the Steelers are going to draft him. I think like
it actually answers like 2 of the questions that we got from Twitter.
I think we have enough to say that I think if Shedeur Sanders gets to 21, the Steelers are going to draft him. I still would say it is probably less than a coin flip that he gets to 21.
Okay.
Also, if the Saints don't take him, what are they doing instead?
All I'm saying is we're 3 days out from this. I got to go back through. My friend Drew Hannes does a great job of compiling in Microsoft Excel spreadsheets every player that's, similar to the Steelers, how you guys track that for the Steelers. He has that for every team, compiling a list of, 30 visits, all the pre-draft interest. For right now, just 3 days out, I'm putting Jackson Dart. Not the direction they should go, but that's who I'm going with for now.
Well, if they do that, that sets I think like something like that has to happen for the Steelers to get to Sanders. Like someone takes the quarterbacks out of order.
Yeah. I know that, like, I don't know if they were counting on him playing this year based off they missed an entire year, but like Ryan Ramczyk retiring should make them go offensive line, in my opinion. The Saints, like, they have a first-year head coach. They shouldn't be forcing the quarterback issue. But as of right now, I'm sticking with it. I'm still on the Jackson Dart to New Orleans train. I think you were about to say something else.
Yeah, I don't really know where they are in terms of their ability to get that's like Membu maybe would be there at 9. Maybe, probably not. Could be looking at Kelvin Banks, I guess.
If they think he can stick out a tackle. Do you think he can play tackle?
I'm uncertain.
Yeah, same. I think I would try it. Like, obviously, I think there's more value if he can, but yeah,
that could be a Will Johnson landing spot.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's the other. That's the one I would flip to potentially before draft night. That's the way
Like
that I
they have
between the
Kool-Aid.
two.
I don't know who this is their other starting corner. I don't have any idea.
Yeah, Paulson Adebo left in free agency. So
Yeah, so like it's not a bad choice.
sorry, C. Smitty, that answered your question, I guess. He said, let's say Shedeur, all the D tackles and Ibuka are on the board at 21. Do you think that they would go with Shedeur? He said,
Yeah, I think they would take Shedeur if he's there at 21. I don't think they would trade up. I certainly don't think they would trade up far. Maybe they would trade up like a very small deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Sanders isn't there, I think trade back probably is close to the second best.
Okay. Yeah, that was put in Schefter's thing as well, and that's kind of where I want to transition to. So, you know, it's like you're in my. That's a scary place to be, but you were in my head there. Just in terms of that, though, if there's so many teams that are willing to move back, doesn't seem like there's a bunch that are willing to trade up. Would think that the teams willing to trade back, like maybe a little bit less return. I'm not like, I don't know how obviously the inner workings of that work and stuff like that, but there might have to be a specific player on the board at that spot to really dictate what the value of doing that is. But I don't know. Like, I know that could be their preference. I have a hard time seeing that they're going to have a partner that gives them really strong value back.
Yeah, it definitely requires, in my mind, someone who isn't supposed to be there to be there. You know, or the other way, right? So like there's a lot of like one of the most interesting positions and one of the most difficult to mock positions, I think, in the first round is edge rusher. There are obviously Abdul Carter's going to the Browns.
Yeah.
You can just put him in ink at this point. But and then like some people think Jalen Walker's an edge rusher, some people think he's a linebacker, or however you want to kind of categorize him.
Yeah.
Is interesting, but then you have Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, James Pierce, and Donovan Ezraku from Boston College.
Yep.
And like,
and I did teams boards for those guys are going to be all over the place. Like, yeah.
Yes. So like, instead of someone falling, it could be some team down in like the Lions, okay, who are drafting like 28. Like they really want an edge rusher. And like, oh, there's only one left now at 21. Like all the rest have gone. Or maybe they like, we have Mike Green off our board and it's just him and one other guy left. So if we want that other guy, we got to go up to get him. Like I can see a situation like that being the impetus where there's a run on a specific position that get off-ball linebacker. Okay. If Walker goes early, and I expect him to go in the top 15, Jahad Campbell's really the only other guy if you really need an off-ball linebacker in the first round. So I can see a team saying, okay, we can't if you're the Eagles, you can't sit there at 32 and think Jahad Campbell's getting that far. If you're the Commanders at 29, like they don't need an inside linebacker. Vikings at 24, even like maybe you got to go up a couple spots.
Yeah. Although I've had him again. This is just one guy's thinking. I've had him in pen to the Buccaneers for like 2 weeks now, and that's obviously before the Steelers pick. So, but yeah, with the edge rush, it's really interesting because you have like, somebody's gonna fall in love with the tools of Shamar Stewart despite like the lack of production. You got Pierce, which is like, if you go back before the 2024 college football season, was probably like a top 5 pick in a lot of people's minds, pushing for number, kind of where Abdul Carter is now. Like he was that guy going into the season. You have like Ezraku, who was far more productive than those guys, but like lesser known commodity. Mike Green, who absolutely blew up at the Senior Bowl and looked like the best player out of the group. Yeah, like that's certainly the group. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think it's one on one hand, a guy falling like here's Colton Loveland at 21, which no one saw coming. Like, okay, yeah, like someone will trade up to do that. Kelvin Banks or something like that, or it's just everything's gone at one position. And then the one guy left now becomes attractive.
The idea of the Steelers trading not back, but like either trading somebody off the roster, trading for somebody. Also brought up within that Adam Schefter article, a way that they could certainly get an additional pick, but also create a hole in the process would be a George Pickens trade. He listed him as one of the commodities that could be, a name to keep an eye on during the draft. Now, his name has obviously been brought up in the past, but as we are just days away from the draft here, it's not something that I've heard. Maybe you can speak to this as well. I don't think that the Steelers are actively shopping him. Are they going to get phone calls about him on draft night? Potentially. Is it going to be enough for them to move him and then have to immediately turn around and within the next 48 hours find a replacement with a pick that they have? I don't know. But, what's your take on seeing that?
Yeah, I don't think the Steelers are actively shopping him. I would expect at some point over the draft for them to at least start fielding some calls. That people will be checking in on the availability of George Pickens. Yeah, I would expect that. To me, I think the sweet spot for them is there's this, pretty good, looks like a pretty good second round wide receiver group. I expect there to be a big run on wide receivers at some point in the second round. If somebody feels like they're missing out on that group, I think a trade for George Pickens could make some sense. But then, it's going to be hard for the Steelers to trade George Pickens and it not be a big downgrade.
Sure.
The only way it makes sense is if they've just already decided they're not going to re-sign him.
Mm-hmm. And they have a good feel about what's going to happen this summer when they don't.
Yeah. That's the only way it really makes sense. It's not going to make their team better. Now, you could do it a different way, I suppose, is if you're trying to... If you take the wide receiver first, then I guess it's different, right? Say you take Igbuka in the first round. Okay, then I think it's different. Then you're just shopping him at that point, I would assume. But, if you're sitting there on day 2 fielding phone calls, the reason you're going to have people calling you about George Pickens is there's no one good to take at wide receiver. Right? That's
yeah.
That's it. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just feels unlikely.
Yeah, which is what I've said going back to months ago. I said it's a double-edged sword for me with George Pickens because I think the draft class is going to present them the opportunity to field offers that I think would be above what I feel like his actual value is, because I think that there are teams that would rather have him than draft what's in this draft class, have the more known commodity, and it's not as good of a group, in my opinion, as past years coming out. But at the same time, you're creating a hole for yourself with a worse class to try to replace him. So it wouldn't be a football move for them to trade George Pickens. It would just be about, we're not giving this guy the contract. This is probably how it's going to play out this summer when we don't, and we're just getting out in front of it.
I mean, I do think there's an argument to be made that him and DK are too similar to be ideal, and that they should look to find someone more of a route runner than either of those guys is. If you were building an ideal wide receiver room with DK Metcalf as your number 1, I don't think you would pick a George Pickens type as number 2. But this is the real world. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can run your team based on that ideal.
Yeah, to me, that's with what we've seen from the wide receiver room as of late, I don't think that we can be picky about the archetypes of receivers. They just need good players in that room, and George Pickens is 1A, 1B right now, and we'll see if that's the case after the draft. But like you, I have not. So you agreed. You don't think that they're actively shopping him. You just expect there's to be calls coming at some point in the next.
There will be. Yeah, I do think there will be calls coming.
The other name that was mentioned, not on his way out, but potentially on his way in, we talked about this before, but I feel like it's been a little bit quiet on this front just because of all the Aaron Rodgers stuff, is Kirk Cousins. Do we think that's still something that the Steelers are potentially monitoring and they would be willing to pull the trigger on if the price is right?
I was very interested to see in this story that Adam Schefter reported that Kirk Cousins, who was owed, I think, $45 million guaranteed or something like that, just an absurd amount of money. Yeah. That they're asking for a team to pay $20 million of that in order to make a trade. And of course, no one is willing because, that's still a ridiculous amount of money for a player of Kirk Cousins' present ability. But I did think it was interesting that he said there's a feeling around the league that a team might be willing to pay down roughly $10 million. Where have we heard that number before, Smitty? I feel like $10 million.
It's a sweet spot, huh?
Come up around here recently, Oh, just ringing a bell. So I don't know. I think that's interesting that 10 million seems to be the number there. I don't know why.
I wonder if there's any other quarterbacks that were offered like $10 million or somewhere within that range, close in proximity. Yeah. So obviously, we're kind of you're saying you feel like the Steelers certainly still interested in the Kirk Cousins thing, depending on the way other things go.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're in for Aaron Rodgers, you're in for Kirk Cousins. I mean, like, I think Rodgers is probably the better player right now, but it's not that big of a difference. Like, I mean, if you're getting him for the same price, sure.
Okay. Last thing that I wanted to mention in terms of like the Schefter stuff and what was in that article, a name that we have not mentioned at all in terms of the draft, Cam Miller, the quarterback out of North Dakota State. What do we know about this guy even to begin with? And potentially the interest that the Steelers would have, obviously further down, we're not talking about them spending, although I did see a mock that for whatever reason had him as pick 21. It's another one of those like, who was the person that gave him Dylan Gabriel? Whose mock draft was that we were talking about?
Tony Dungy.
Yeah, it's another one of those like same situations. But anyways, Alan, what can you tell the people about Cam Miller?
Here's what I can tell the people about Cam Miller. In the NFL mock draft database, there are quarterbacks listed all the way down to number 659 overall. Jordan McLeod from Texas State, by the way, if you're curious. And Cam Miller's not. So he's not, doesn't make the list. I mean, we need a new word for someone who is like far below a sleeper. Like a sleeper is like someone who like probably will get drafted, but you think is actually going to be way better than that. What's like the term for like someone who definitely isn't getting drafted and like will probably be playing in the CFL, but someone could sign him as a UDFA. Like we need a
hibernator.
A hibernate, yeah. Yeah, comatose. I don't know. Yeah, that's
not a sleeper. Yeah, I'm trying to
not
overemphasize.
Way beyond a sleeper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here this is. It's just some random person that put out a mock draft. And they did it through. I didn't even recognize the format. Mockdraftcentral.io. Like the beginning of it, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter. Tyler Warren was at 3 on here. But anyways, there's some wild names throughout here, including Cam Miller at 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Giants just really like their Penn State.
Just ahead, by the way, pick 22, Mason Graham.
Yeah. Cam Miller with Mason Graham on the board. There you go.
But anyways, yeah. Alan, I mentioned one question that we were able to incorporate already, but more to get into here. This one was specifically for you, and I think this is interesting, not necessarily related to the Steelers specifically or anything like that, but I'm Groot 2001 had a question specifically for you. Said, as a beat writer wanting to get and report the scoop first, is it frustrating at all when news is broken by the national types like a Schefter or a Rappaport?
That's a good question. I don't think it frustrates me. No. It would be frustrating if I felt like here's what is frustrating. And it doesn't matter who breaks the news. It's when you hear something, but it's from a source that maybe you don't 100% trust, or, you can't, maybe you've also heard something counter to that. So you don't necessarily want to like fully believe it. And then like you get the Twitter notification from Adam Schefter and it's like, I could have had that 15 minutes ago. Like that's when it's frustrating, when it's like you kind of knew, but you didn't really commit to it. And then it gets confirmed. Like, yeah, that's like, look,
what I thought you were going to say.
My whole morning rush this morning was about Schefter reporting that the Steelers did not originally think that Shedeur Sanders would be available to them at 21. We talked about that on this show, but I never wrote it. I never like reported that was the case. I mean, so that was like, that frustrates me. But like, if my phone buzzes right now and it's like Adam Schefter reports that something I had no idea was how the Steelers have signed Deshaun Elliott to a 3-year contract extension. By the way, happy birthday, Deshaun. it's like I had no idea that was coming. So no, that doesn't frustrate me. There's so much news out there. Like there's no way you could possibly get it all. So it doesn't bother me when other people get news that to me comes out of the clear blue sky. It's just frustrating when you are working on something or you have heard something, but you can't quite get it all the way reported. And then somebody else gets it ahead of you.
Well, what I thought you were going to say is when you have put it out there, but like it's maybe like just before or something like that, and then one of the big like national heads put it out, and then they're the ones that get credit for it. Like it's not properly
doesn't happen to
credited.
me very often. That would be
Really?
frustrating, but that doesn't happen to me very often.
Yeah.
I did see that happen to my guy Noah Strackmine like a week or so ago.
Yep.
He reported something, and then it was like everybody else on top of it. But
yeah. Wasn't that with Shedeur visiting?
I'm pretty sure that was. It might have been.
I think that was. But anyway, last thing that I want to get to here, I like this because it references the dueling mock draft that we did last week. If you didn't catch that, be sure to go do so. Tyler Hurnley says, I know Allen took Tate Ratledge in the dueling mock draft, which was a great pick, even if Smitty won overall. Thank you, Tyler. Who would be another off the beaten path but realistic pick in the third or fourth round?
You kind of put me on the spot here. Off the beaten path, but still realistic pick in the third or fourth round.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I want to pull up their sheets to see if
I mean, if you want another offensive lineman, Charles Grant from William and Mary. I think we've talked about him here on the show. The Steelers have shown a lot of interest in him. Probably like a swing tackle guard type. That's, was a player like it's gotten like zero hype at all. CJ West, the defensive tackle from Indiana. I'm not sure we've mentioned him on here at all. That's a good player. Danny Stutzman, the linebacker from Oklahoma, they had a combine formal with. I don't know why. They don't need a linebacker, but he's sort of right in that range you're talking about that I think nobody is talking about. Latham Ransom. We talked a lot about the safeties early in the draft, but he is 1, 2, 3 on the mock draft database big board. That's right after their fourth round pick. They want a box safety later in the draft. I think that's a really good fit.
I'm going to go with just because we've talked about this position, and I think that with one of those two picks, I'd be wondering which box they weren't checking if they went this direction. I'm going to go with Ashton Gallot, the edge out of Louisville.
Okay. I can see edge. Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan and JJ Pegues' teammate, is in that range too if they want an edge there. I wasn't super impressed with him at the Senior Bowl, but he's a good player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you say off the beaten path, I guess is that based off of interest shown from the team, or is that how did you take that? Is that how you took it?
I just took it as like something people aren't talking about for whatever reason. Jackson Slater, the guard from Sacramento State, is another. He was really good at the Senior Bowl. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about him.
Yeah.
Honestly, Trevor Etienne is getting no hype, and I think he is a player that is a possibility for them in the fourth round.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple.
All right. There you go.
And look, they've shown the ability to go way off the wall. Riley Mills from Notre Dame, his stock has randomly gone way up lately. Dealt with a major injury last year and was still not healthy by the combine. But that's an interesting name to watch out for on day 3 if they're going to double dip.
Okay. Good stuff. I like it. Do we still have time? Yeah, we still have time for one more. Just real quick. Want to mention this name. It's been way too long since we mentioned this name. Cliff the Dark Knight said, how does Kenny Pickett rank amongst the QB class? If he was in this draft, where would he be drafted? Interesting question. Alan, where do you think Kenny Pickett would fall as a prospect if he was in this draft class?
Between Sanders and Dart.
Yep. Okay. I would have him in the same spot.
Yeah. That feels pretty right to me.
I feel like, where do you think the pushback because we know that that's going to happen. Obviously, people disagree, which is completely fine. People have opinions. We're in agreement on that. But do you think that there'll be more disagreement about him being behind Sanders or in front of Dart?
I think probably it seems like there are more people. I don't know. It seems like there are more people that are weirdly high on Jackson Dart that I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably.
Heck, listen. I like
it's hard. It's hard to. It's hard to ignore what you've learned. It's hard to misremember what you've learned. I think there's this I think there's this after the fact remembering that is wrong, that Kenny Pickett was like he was widely predicted to be like a 10 to 15 player in the draft. Like him falling to 22 was a large surprise. That's like I understand that the pick didn't go well, but I think people have forgotten what kind of prospect Kenny Pickett was.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, but and the other thing I was going to say, kind of within like the class itself, is for as much as like I've talked about Milroe and feeling like he's certainly worth a dart throw at some point, and like understanding why there are people that are higher on him, still was my QB3. Like I feel like we've gotten to the point where people are kind of just like overrating him a little bit now, like some people, because of the athleticism. I think there would be people that would put him above Kenny Pickett as a prospect.
I mean, look, I can understand the argument, and I've been working on a story on that very argument for SteelersNow.com. So,
okay,
yeah, I think the argument for Jalen Milroe is interesting because basically the best argument for Jalen Milroe is if he doesn't work out as a quarterback, you got a pretty good running back. But like, how do you compare that?
Yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah. Okay, well. Look forward to the story. Look forward to another one of these podcasts tomorrow right here. Alan, until then, tell the people they can find you.
A Saunders _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so I can get paid. And even better, sign up for SN Plus. We are doing a members-only podcast live stream on Wednesday with at least me, you, and DB, and we'll see if we get anybody else involved. And we will be sharing the link to SN Plus subscribers only, and you guys can just come in and join up, and it should be a good time. And we do have some new. We had 2 new ones for Friday, right? That was
Fax Mob and what was the other one?
So yeah, Joseph Kane was the other one. So Chad Zivic is our new subscriber. Just signed up today, so we appreciate Chad. It's Chad with 2 D's, Zivic, Z-I-V-I. So yeah, definitely get those memberships going, and yeah, we'll have some fun on Wednesday.
And then, honestly, something we should consider hey, if that's something that would get you guys to subscribe to SN Plus, and you are like really pushing for, we can start doing more members only stuff like that. I mean,
totally do more. Yeah, for sure. And like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform, which is free and also helps us out a lot. And we are over 15,500. And a tough number, I gotta say. 15,500 and Jonathan Dwyer.
27. Okay.
27. Yeah.
Ooh. So it's Corey Trice right now, but I don't like doing the current guys. Who else were 27? Man.
I mean,
I feel like I can. There's obviously guys between.
There are a bunch of older guys I can name. The younger ones are tough. The previous one has been a topic of this show before. Marcus Allen was the.
Oh God!
Corey Trice.
That's why I've tried to forget it. Not that he ever. I don't know if he ever even played in a regular season game. What number was Mark Gilbert wearing?
Mark Gilbert had a couple. One of them was 31. I don't
Okay.
remember if he wore 27 at one point or not. He had 17 at one point too.
That's probably why I remember the 7. Okay.
Dang. Anthony Smith, sort of legendary, notorious safety from the early 2000s. A couple of guys more of my generation, Willie Williams, Thomas Everett was a starting safety next to Carnell Lake in the late 80s and early 90s. Glenn Edwards, a couple times Super Bowl champion back in the 70s. A bunch of good 27s.
LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
Brent Alexander was a safety just before the 5th Super Bowl. A bunch of them.
Okay.
And if you want to go, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good list.
Pretty good list. Boy. Yeah, let us know your favorite number 27 in Steelers history. You got a great group to pick from.
You want to go way back. Dick Haley, the father of Todd and former Steelers personnel guy, when he played for the team, was 27. So.
Okay. There we go. Let us know your favorite number 27. Keep climbing. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hit us in the comments with that or questions for a future episode, all that good stuff. Be sure to subscribe to SN Plus. We're going to make that happen right here. Us, DB, and who else? Maybe have some other people joining up with us as well. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH, Alan Saunders, and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.